Well, we were talking about remembering what we were talking about.
A lot of memories are hindrances.
Okay, so,
Um, I mean, all of them, especially some
okay.
religious dogmas. That's, when you're trying to remember and put a cognitive story in your mind, build some kind of truth to that from stories passed down and parents, then you're putting a block on remembering your own divine nature.
But yet there has to be some form that we give to the formless. So that is part of that block in a sense. Because as soon as you give form to something in your mind, right, then you're limiting that to that form.
So all memories, kind of.
Well, yeah, it is. You can see how deep you can go into this before you kind of lose the purpose of it. And memory. Well, who are you?
So that's the past. That's dwelling in the past, which is.
Well, who are you? Are you the guy that? I'll speak for myself here. Am I the kid that was playing in the field? Am I the teenager with all that angst? Am I the young adult having relationships? And am I the householder having a family? Where along this line do I identify me? And the only way you can really do this, and take everyone who's tried, by the way, all those other stuff, memories. Where are those memories? Stored in your neurological basis? Well, that's just going to go anyway. You're done with that once you die. Is it stored in something other people's images? Yes. Is there a DNA coding that's been transferred across? Yeah, there's that. But if you don't make a point of conscience to who you are, and if you are this body, if that's who you have to relate to, but again, what else can you relate to? If you're not this body, what else could you be?
I'd say you have three kind of memories for your spiritual evolution. Some are detrimental, some are irrelevant, and some help you on your spiritual path.
Okay.
So you should always try to focus or learn even to make the detrimental memories make them empowering.
So that would be the teaching here for you. How do you do that? What's the actual practical application? Because totally correct. So then you can go through forms of yoga about that, right? Forms of mantra. That brings you back to focus. Well, what am I trying to do here? So you have that underlying question as you do something, right? Well, is this furthering my understanding of who I am in relationship to all this, or is this gonna, it's always there, right? I have it. Most of the time it's pretty obvious, but occasionally it requires some nuanced thinking, right? Going, is this an offering through blessing? Should I understand that way? Or is this just so far off my diet, offering me sweets, You know what I mean? There's simple stuff, but there's that. So, memory. If you haven't decided, well, back to that point I'm trying to make. Who are we in the midst of all of these different frames of ourselves? We can only be here and now. This is it. This is it, Adam. Right here and now. That's the only thing that's real. Everything else is a memory. And if we already established, well, what's the memory? Can you remember 2 minutes ago? Can you remember what happened 30 seconds ago? What happened? Can't. I mean, maybe if we went through some kind of recording in our mind, we did something, maybe it's that way, but I don't have access to that. And not that I couldn't do it, but we sort of wouldn't want to waste the time of developing that particular acidic power, especially when we have cameras. It's got to do it for us, right? Who are we? Who are you? We are the part of ourselves that can ask that question without looking and going, well, what do you think you are? When you look in the mirror and you say, I must be this body because I can't imagine myself without this body other than as a formless infinite consciousness. And that's fine, but that has no relevance on anything in this body. So it comes all back to that, well, where is that marriage between the infinite consciousness that's everything, it's all of us, and all this whole thing is just the mind of God, Shiva, manifesting itself, and the point of consciousness of our own body, the trials and tribulations of our own biological, psychological matrix we find ourselves in, living in this world, right? The karma of it, so to speak. So that dance, how do you bring it? Well, you have to be the body. This is it, guys. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, this is me, whatever it turns out to be. And then start to take a real serious responsibility for that image that you're projecting. And look at it carefully, examine it and say, really? That's you? And say, okay, well, how could that be more clear to as being who you think you are? And for me, being a yogi, a Shiva, Mahadev, then I got, well, apparently I've got a long ways to go in this. But, I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to put my body, mind through this metamorphosis. So I don't see anything else worth doing, really. You have to become who you are in the moment to have any memory. One more little practical advice, too. If you're in a situation where you're sensing something is cool or, an auspicious time of some sort, take the time to really pay attention to that. Remember to remember it in your mind. Put a post-it note there. Remember to remember this as it's happening. Because otherwise it'll be a memory that's not complete. Just from I noticed myself looking back on some peak moments that I really thought I had better done recorded in my mind. And by that I mean I usually have a psychological, neurological, biochemical level of a link to it. So it stimulates the same endorphins and whatever else it happened to happen at that time. And I'm missing some of those memories. So it's just because I'm taking inventory of my, as you get older, you start getting rid of stuff you don't need. Well, that's most everything. What do you need? Who are you? You have to be, you're the person that's able to ask the question. You're the being that's looking at yourself and examining yourself and asking that question. That's who you are. And you have to determine how deep you're willing to look into that particular mirror and say, okay, well, if that's the case, what is this talking beyond conscious volition here? What is that thing that's trying to examine itself? And then you can, okay, well, I'm the infinite presence of Shiva itself, trying to examine itself. And obviously, we got some communication problems here, but image problem, but we're getting it. We're closing it up, It's like, how does that look? How would that feel? And this is a self-examination that I always get down to. How would that feel? Feel great, right? Let's just say you wanted to become that good of a yogi, to presume, right? That humble of a yogi, right? To presume that the ultimate form, Shiva, could actually come really, if not exactly, really close to being close enough for government work, for God's sake, You could presume that and you allow it to happen. You feel your body going through it and you change it. You feel it. I'm just feeling this as I'm talking to you, I'm just describing what's going on. I'm feeling this energetic level. I feel myself tightening and straightening and going through all of this and letting this image of, and then as it tightens and then it relaxes immediately as it comes up, and I can relax the body behind it into it. So it's this like healing focus. If you want to see it be like some kind of simulation of energy fields moving through the whole body, and just allowing that to be, and you feel it then too. That's the deal here. Feeling it on a, not just imagining this, not just saying, well, if you do this Kriya for so long, this will happen. Well, it probably will, but nonetheless, if you could experience the actual channel of consciousness that allows that Kriya to manifest itself in your particular human form, you could understand the symbology of it, if you could understand the archetypical form of it, as it heals the different, this is how I examine this in myself. How does it affect your gallbladder? How does it affect your organs? You start paying attention to this. pay attention, right?
Yes, you get a very
If you
subtle,
want to remember,
delicate understanding of the body and the organs and how it works and what's very peaceful and what's very comforting to meditation and yogic lifestyle.
yeah, and he tries to stay mostly on sattvic, and me being a Kundalini Raj yoga tends to have a little bit more of the sattvic, definitely, but also the Rajastic nature comes into my particular stance on this. So I try to, like everything else, I try to find a balance. Okay, well, we'll stop there because these get too long. We'll continue, I suspect, down a bit longer down these. This is the road of nostalgia, longing for what never was, but maybe what could be. Pre-nostalgia.